6 months ago, I bought this Google Pixel 10 Pro, and I've been using it every day since. It's gotten some scuffs on the back, and I dinged up the middle rails a bit by accident, but I'm here to tell you that this phone is aging so well. Most phones get worse with age. The battery degrades, the software lags, but the Pixel 10 Pro is the rare exception that is actually better today than the day I unboxed it. It's almost like this phone is aging in reverse. With that in mind, I want to talk about what's gotten better, what stayed the same, and of course, the things I hope Google fixes with the Pixel 11 series later this year. But for now, let's start with what's gotten better. And the first thing we need to talk about is all the awesome new software features this phone has that it didn't have when it first came out. So every quarter, Google releases a Pixel Drop. These are packages of new features for your phone that don't require a new full-on Android release. Since the Pixel 10 Pro launched, there have been 2 Pixel Drops, and they have had some awesome stuff included. One of my favorite of the new features is Material 3 Expressive. This brought a new look and feel to Pixel software. Some of the tweaks are pretty obvious, like the new blurred background of the notification dropdown. Others are a bit more subtle, like the springy animation that appears to tear a notification away from the others, complete with haptic feedback. These neat little experience tweaks make using the phone feel more intuitive than ever, and look great while doing it. Another thing that wasn't available when the Pixel 10 Pro launched was the ability to have big and bold imagery of a person when they call you. This is part of Google's big initiative to make you feel more emotionally connected to your Pixel. When someone you love calls you and it looks as great as this, it just makes you happier. Outside of the design of the software, one of the biggest and most unexpected updates to the Pixel 10 Pro was support for AirDrop. With my Pixel 10 Pro, I can AirDrop files to an iPhone or have an iPhone AirDrop files to me. It's pretty unbelievable that Google was able to do this, and even more unbelievable that Apple hasn't stopped them. But regardless, the Pixel 10 Pro is one of the very few phones out there that has native AirDrop support. Since this also works with MacBooks and you already can use QuickShare to share with other Android phones and Windows PCs, there is pretty much nothing stopping me from sharing whatever I want with whomever, regardless of what phone, laptop, or tablet they're using. That's incredible. What Google is really good at, though, is identifying a pain point its users have and finding a way to solve it with software. As an example, when you're using Google Maps to navigate somewhere, having your phone's display on at full brightness and in full color with a fast refresh rate needlessly drains the battery. So, the Pixel 10 Pro now has this amazing feature called Power Saving Mode. Just hit the power button while you're navigating with maps and everything goes into monochrome and the refresh rate drops. Now you can navigate without your battery draining as much, which is brilliant. Speaking of draining the battery, when you do start running low on juice with your Pixel 10 Pro, you're going to need a way to top it up. And I have a terrific option for that from this video's sponsor, iKnew. This is the iKnew P63 power bank, and it not only can charge my Pixel 10 Pro, but it's also powerful enough to charge my laptop too. That's thanks to its crazy fast 100 watt charging speed and its massive 25,000 milliamp hour capacity. The iKnew power bank also has 3 ports, including 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port. You can use all 3 of these at the same time, so I can charge my phone, my Nintendo Switch 2, and my earbuds all together. Now, I have a power bank from a competitor that can do this, but look at the size difference. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have the iKnew P63 with me than this giant thing. I'd also rather have iKnew's display, which clearly shows just how much juice is left. As with all other iKnew products, the P63 comes with a wrist strap that doubles as a USB-C cable, so you never need to worry about having a cable with you. It also comes with the same 3-year warranty iKnew is best known for, which means if anything goes wrong with this bank in 3 years after buying it, iKnew will send you a new one for free. Thanks so much to iKnew for sponsoring this video, and if you're interested in grabbing the power bank, be sure to check the link in the description. I want to highlight one more software feature on the Pixel 10 Pro that wasn't available at launch, which is the new automatic notification organization. This AI-based system does its best to reduce notification fatigue by silencing alerts that it thinks are low priority, so you can focus on the notifications that are actually important. Honestly, when this feature first rolled out, I was skeptical and almost wanted to turn it off, but now I kind of love it. It keeps things like notifications about promotional sales and all that away from me, so I don't get inundated with alerts. The notifications are still there when I want to see them, and I can always tell my Pixel that it didn't categorize something correctly if I want to. But it's been doing a great job of preventing needless distractions and letting me just live my life. So, the software has gotten better since the Pixel 10 Pro launched 6 months ago, and there are loads of new features. But don't forget that there are still 6.5 years of software support to go, which includes a whopping 26 pixel drops remaining for the Pixel 10 Pro before Google ends software support for it. Who knows what new features will come with those 26 drops over the next 6 years? It's a foregone conclusion that the phone will only get better from here. So that's what's gotten better over the past 6 months. But now let me remind you about what was good when the phone launched and is still good today. First, let me just say that the Pixel 10 Pro is still the best compact Android phone you can buy in the US. So far, no manufacturer has launched a 6.3-inch phone or smaller with all the features and specs this phone has. Even the Samsung Galaxy S26, which will launch later this week, is expected to lack any substantial upgrades to its camera hardware, meaning the phone will still be using the same cameras it's been using for the past 4 years, which are all way behind the Pixel 10 Pro. Of course, that phone will be a lot cheaper than the Pixel 10 Pro, but still, you'll be making sacrifices. The only phones I know of that can compete with the Pixel 10 Pro for great specs in a compact body are the OnePlus 13T and the Vivo X300, both of which are unavailable here in the States. So yeah, if you live in the US and want a compact Android phone without compromising on specs and features, the Pixel 10 Pro is still your best and only choice. While I'm on that subject, do you wish there were more compact Android phones out there to compete with the Pixel 10 Pro? Jump down in the comments and speak your mind on that, as I definitely wish the Pixel 10 Pro had more competition to push it to be even better than it already is. So let's move to the cameras. For still photography, they are still awesome on the Pixel 10 Pro. Honestly, it's tough to beat what you can get from this phone. These are some select photos I've taken over the past 6 months, and while they are impressive, what's most impressive about them is that I'm a terrible photographer. But that's the best thing about Pixel cameras. You don't need to be a good photographer to get great shots. 99% of the time, you just point and shoot and it comes out great. That being said, you can tweak the camera system to your heart's content using professional controls. I have a video up here that goes over everything you can do with the Pixel 10 Pro camera, so I highly suggest giving that a watch. I want to make sure I have enough time to talk about the things I wish were better on the Pixel 10 Pro. But I also want to touch on Tensor G5, the processor powering all the phones in the Pixel 10 series. When Tensor G5 came out, I know a lot of people were disappointed with it. It didn't benchmark nearly as high as people were hoping it would, and its battery efficiency also wasn't a huge leap forward from Tensor G4. So let me start by saying that I'm right there with you. I too wish that the jump from Tensor G4 to Tensor G5 were more significant. However, while it's true that Tensor G5 wasn't all we'd hoped for, there is no arguing that it is still better than Tensor G4 and is a terrific chip in multiple ways. In other words, it is correct to say that Tensor G5 should have been better than it is, but it is incorrect to say that Tensor G5 is bad. It is not bad. In fact, it's great. It was great at launch, and it's still great now. It does everything I want it to do and does it smoothly and effectively. You can even game on it just fine, even on Wuthering Waves, which is one of the more graphically intense games on the Play Store. Even at high settings, you're going to see 30 to 40 frames per second at the low end, with 60 FPS easy to hit in some areas. Note that what I'm showing you here is on the Pixel 10, not the Pixel 10 Pro, so you don't even need a Pro phone to get a good level of gaming performance. With all that said, let's jump into what Google needs to improve. After 6 months of using this phone every day, I can confidently say that the 3 biggest problems I have with it are storage, battery life, and video recording. Let's start with storage. So I just showed you some gaming on the Pixel 10, which I did because I wanted to prove that even the entry model can game just fine. But there's another reason I did that, which is that my personal Pixel 10 Pro literally doesn't have enough storage space to download Wuthering Waves. The game requires about 35 gigs of empty space at the minimum, and with all my apps and downloaded music and photos and videos, I simply don't have enough room left on my Pixel 10 Pro to download the game. Of course, I could have spent more money and gotten a model with more storage, but you know what? I shouldn't have to. This is a Pro phone that starts at $1,000, and every other Pro level phone out there around that price starts with 256 gigabytes of storage, not the measly 128 gigabytes I have on my Pixel 10 Pro. Frankly, Google not starting every single Pixel 10 phone at 256 gigs is one of the biggest mistakes the company made with this release. I sincerely hope they don't make the same mistake again with the Pixel 11 series. Up next is battery life. I already touched on this a bit when I talked about Tensor G5, but after 6 months of using this phone, I can only say the battery life is fine. It's not bad, not in the slightest, but it's definitely not great or even good. It's just fine. I know what Google is going to try to do here, which is come up with more software optimizations to try and eke out more battery life out of a typical cell. But you know what, Google? The real solution is just to put in batteries with more juice. Whether that's a silicon carbon battery or even a typical lithium ion one, the phone simply needs a battery that can hold more energy. Please go ahead and continue with your software optimizations as they do help, but ultimately there just needs to be more gas in the tank. And finally, there's video recording. First, the phone needs to record higher quality footage. There are phones out there that can record in 8K and phones that can record in 4K at 120 frames per second. The Pixel 10 Pro, though, has an upper limit of 4K 60, which just isn't good enough for a phone with the word Pro in the name. Speaking of being Pro, there's also no log recording available, something I can get from an iPhone, a Samsung phone, and even a OnePlus phone. Why can't I get it from a Pixel? And finally, video recording needs to be smoother, especially when moving between lenses. iPhones can do this, Google, so why can't Pixels? Anyway, these 3 issues are annoying, but they are surmountable. I charge the phone at night when I go to bed, and I've never run out of power. I could never get through a second day with it if I didn't charge it at night, but knowing I can get a solid day out of it is fine. Not great, but fine. And limited internal storage sucks, but I'm not a huge mobile gamer anyway, so I can deal with it. I shouldn't need to deal with it, but I can. And video quality on the Pixel 10 Pro is good enough for most things. It's not the Pro level I expect from a Pro phone, but the rest of the great things about it make up for it. I really hope Google can address these issues with the inevitable Pixel 11 Pro. Because if the Pixel 11 Pro were just this phone, but with more and faster storage, better battery life, and better capabilities with video, it would literally be perfect. I have high hopes for the Pixel 11 phone, so hopefully Google won't let me down. All right, before I go, be sure to like and subscribe so you can see more videos from me in the future. And if you want to see what kind of video footage you can get from a Pixel 10 Pro, I highly recommend this video here, which was 100% shot with a Pixel 10 Pro. But before you run off, let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you all down in the comments.